What's up, everybody? I am Hunter, aka Drummer Dude Guy, and welcome to Drumchatta, a vlogcast for musicians and music lovers, a space for musicians. Thank you so much for joining me. We are at episode 2. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that checked out episode 1. I consider it a huge success. I had a lot of positive feedback. I had a lot of constructive feedback from some of my other podcasting and vlogcasting friends in the industry, and I can't wait to continue seeing where I can take this channel to go. Episode 2 is here. I have been working so hard on it. Sorry it took me a couple of weeks to get it out. A lot of things went on. My other band, Cold Fusion, we played a really awesome show, Music in the Park. Every June, every Friday in June, every year, there's music in Wonderland Park. There's food trucks, there's a beer garden, there's vendors, there's live music. It is a great event for the free event for the public. The family comes out, friends come out. It is really, really awesome. And this year, we had the extreme pleasure to play the very last one. And it was awesome. It was a huge success. There was a lot of people. The sun was shining. It was a really, really warm, beautiful day. The beer was cold and the food was good. And it was a really, really great day. Also, Starship with Mickey Thomas played a show in Eagle River at the Matanuska Brewing Company. That's right. Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane, Starship, that Mickey Thomas. And guess what? I got Mickey Thomas's set list right here. Yeah, that's right. They played literally all the best songs. Jane and Sarah. Sarah's one of my favorite songs by Starship. I absolutely love it. And they also played a couple of songs that are not on this list, as you can see. White Rabbit, they played that one. And they also played Want Somebody to Love. Funny quick story, I was in the porta potty going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I just hear, "Don't you want somebody to love?" And I'm like, oh, no, I'm missing it, no! And I was lucky enough to catch like the last half of the song. But anyways, it was absolutely incredible. The band was so tight. Mickey literally sounded better, if not just like he did in the 70s. It was absolutely incredible. Also, you guys know I'm a drummer, and look at this. Drumstick from the drummer, that's right. He plays Regal. I've never really had one of these drumsticks before. Super beefy, super sausagey, but it's very, very light. It's light as a feather. I might do a drumstick review and talk about this. Grab a few of these sticks. But anyway, that was Starship. It was a really, really awesome show so far. Starship and Spin Doctors have been the two best shows I've seen this year. There's Tesla coming up. I know that Night Ranger's coming up, which I was really looking forward to Night Ranger. But unfortunately, my band Cold Fusion has a gig that night, so I'm going to miss it. But I can't wait to see all the videos that you guys post, because I am going to be so jealous that I am not there. Anyways, it looks a little different in the video, as you can see. I have me a brand new microphone setup that I'm very, 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 very happy about. I'm still using my Blue Yeti Blackout, courtesy of my friend Justin. Thank you so much, my brother. Love you. Without you, basically all of the audio that I've been doing wouldn't be possible. I went and picked up the Radius 3, the brand new shock mount for the Blue Yeti. I like it a whole lot. And then the Compass Blue Yeti arm that goes with it. I still got it used to hitting it with my elbow. And then, of course, a Sterling PF1 pop filter. What's really cool about this pop filter is it's not that pantyhose material. It's actually that, it's like steel, it's like aluminum. Aluminium, as some might say. And I've noticed in the audio tests that I've done, it's a lot sharper. So I've got to be easy on the S's. But the P's and the B's and all those funky words that make you sound funny and poppy, those are all gone, and I absolutely love it. Might do a small gear review on it. This might be part of the gear review video that I do. I know I plan on doing a gear review video about my drums here much shortly. But anyways, episode 2, I know you're probably looking at the title going, Hunter, we literally had a life story about how you got into radio last episode. Why did we wait 2 weeks for an episode about your a episode titled Not Another Life Story? Well, I'm going to answer that. I reached out and asked a bunch of people through social media what kind of things they want to see on the channel, what kind of topics they want me to discuss, questions they want answered, and that sort of thing, things they would like my take on. And one of the ones that I got was, tell us about your drum life story. How did you get into playing drums? What got you into playing drums? Interested in it? And where are you at today? And where do you want to be when you grow up? And I thought, you know what? This is my channel. I might as well do a talking about a little visual video autobiography, if you will. So So yeah, we're going to get into that today. We're going to be talking about that. It's going to be really cool. Also, I had a question that came in on the last episode 1 that I'll be semi-answering as well. But yeah, so let me take a drink and we're going to dive right into it. This video is not sponsored by Liquid Death, but Liquid Death, if you're watching and you think this video has potential, by all means, hit your boy up. So I was super hyper as a kid, right? Like most kids, I was bouncing off the walls. About 8, 9 p.m., you'd have to peel me off the ceiling to get me ready for bed. And my parents tried everything to get me to calm down, having me run laps around the house, having me run up and down the neighborhood, doing all sorts of cross-country activities and energy-draining things you could find as a kid. They even went as far to try medication, and the medication that I took was called Zyprexa. I'll remember it because it's a really, really funny name, and it was supposed to calm you down, and turn you into basically a brainwashed zombie. But instead it turned me into a crazier, like crackhead. I was way more hyper. I was way more energized. I couldn't sleep at night because my brain was just moving 1,000 miles a minute. And just didn't work out for me. And I'm not knocking medication. Some medication works for people out there and it helps them a lot. That's really awesome. Not all of us. Everyone has a different struggle, and hey, medication works for you, but in this case, it didn't work for me. So at the time I was growing up, we were a semi-religious family. We went to a local church. It wasn't nothing crazy. We went to service on Sunday, and then for something to do during the week, they'd send all of us kids to youth group on Wednesday, and we'd hang out, we'd talk sports, we'd talk, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever we were into, video games, and then we'd go about our day. Some of us went to the same school, and some of us went to different schools, so that's kind of why I enjoyed going to youth group as well. So, at this church, we went to a summer camp, and this summer camp was about a week long. It was in a different part of town. It was super cool because we got to be away from our parents. Our parents got a break from the kids. And we got to go be crazy little heathens in the woods for an entire week. At this first church camp that I went to as a kid, they had a worship band that would play for the kids twice a day. Once in the morning after breakfast, and once in the evening after dinner time. Now, I didn't pay attention to anybody else on stage. I didn't pay attention to the guy talking. I didn't pay attention to the guys playing guitar, bass, none of it. I was locked in on one person and one person only, and that was the drummer. And his name was Rob Branham. I recently got back in touch with Rob Branham after not talking to him for many, many, many years. So shout out, Rob. I'm glad the family and everyone's doing well. Super awesome that we got back in touch. This guy named Rob was playing drums for the worship team, and I couldn't stop watching him play, and I was just absolutely mesmerized by it. So after he got done playing and everyone was kind of dissipating, doing their own thing, I had, as one might say, a wild hair up my ass. So I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, can I play that?" And he goes, yeah, lightly. And I must have been probably about 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that age range at the time. And I imagine he thought I knew what lightly meant. And I was like, sure, whatever, man, just let me sit behind this drum set. Well, anyway, so he says lightly, and I run upstairs. And the whole entire room is empty, and it's this drum set on stage, and I'm staring at it, and it's this huge satin white pearl. I'll never forget it. It looked like one of those drum sets you'd see in an 80s hair metal video. Just huge rack toms, cymbals everywhere, the chimes, the gong in the back. Like, it was badass, man. And being a little kid, you're looking up at this thing like, whoa, this is cool. It's like Garth and Wayne's World, that scene. So I get behind the kit, and to my right of me, I look down and I see the stick bag, and there's all sorts of different sticks. You've got your mallets, you've got your sticks like this, and you've got these other things called hot rods, which I didn't grab one for the video, and I should have. But hot rods, what they are, is they are, instead of just being one drumstick like this, they're a bunch of tiny little reeds, tiny little drumsticks, all wrapped together by a little band. And what that does is it gives you a lot more airflow when your stick hits the head. It gives it an airy sound, it gives it more of a quiet sound, and it's used for light rock, jazz, swing, that sort of thing. I used to use them a lot for practice. I still use them for practice if I'm playing in a light studio setting. So I grabbed these pair of hot rods, and I had never played drums in my entire life. I had also never seen a pair of hot rods or knew how fragile they were in my entire life at all. So my very first time at the drum kit, I just start ripping. I just start hitting everything, hitting this mic thing right in front of me. I start just hitting away. And And I'm not even hitting drums. I'm not even hitting cymbals. I'm hitting the drum heads. I'm hitting the cymbal stands. I'm hitting everything else besides the cymbals. I'm even whacking the little metal thing on top of the chimes, trying to just do my own thing. Pieces of wood are flying everywhere, right? I look up, and there's Rob just running up there. He's not really mad. He's more of just like that, oh shit, look, what have I done? And what have I created? Well, that day a monster was created for sure. And so he's sprinting up on stage and he grabs the hot rods out of my hand and they're just absolutely destroyed in 1,000 pieces. And he goes, hey man, I said lightly. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm sorry. And for the rest of the week, every time I wanted to play drums, he would be in the room. He wouldn't necessarily stare at me unless I was doing something that caught his attention. But yeah, for the whole rest of the camp, I was able to sit there and play drums. I didn't destroy another pair of hot rods till later in life, which is another kind of funny story. And we went back home. And I remember going back home after this church camp, and I was absolutely just mesmerized by the drum set. I was just so paralyzed by the thought of watching this incredible instrument and all the cool noises that Rob was making. Well, we go back to church, and there was a pastor at the church that I went to. His name was Pastor Dave. I really wish I could remember more about this guy. He was kind of a heavy-set guy, porn star police mustache, slick back brown black hair. And he was also the drummer for the home church worship band. And he would always get up there and he would do a simple 4 on the floor, boom, 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 boom. And I would copy that during the church service. I would just boom, 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 boom. And after church service, I'd walk up to him and I'd say, hey, Dave, can I sit there? And this was a little different. I had kind of learned my lesson with the hot rods. And he said, yeah, man, go for it. And so I would sit there behind the drum set and I would copy that exact 4 on the floor that he played. And I think it was about this time my parents started to take notice that, this could be a good outlet for this guy. Because I was in homeschool at the time. And I was going through this homeschool program. And they had a music program where you could kind of purchase instruments and you take them home, but the homeschool still kind of owned them in that sort of weird fashion. So what I did is we got a drum set. My very first drum set was a Pearl Rhythm Traveler. Now, a Pearl Rhythm Traveler is a drum set that is very, very small. The kick drum is about this deep, all the toms are about this deep, and the snare is about that deep. Basically, the idea is when you're done and when you need to travel, you take down and you collapse the entire drum set into each other. So snare goes into the floor tom, into this tom, into that tom, all into the kick drum. You screw it all up, you pick it up in one piece, and you're on your way. That was my very first drum set. Probably brand new condition out of the box, lasted about 6 months. The cymbals that came with it were super, super shitty. They were probably the equivalent of a tin can. They were, I'm probably going to butcher it, but they were like Pearl XS something. They were almost like Meinl HCS. But the thing about Meinl HCS is I'm a Meinl lover. I'll do that in a gear episode when I talk about what I play with and what I always have played with. Meinl HCS, they're shit bottom of the line cymbals, man. But I tell you what, I will go out of my way to buy a couple of pairs of that. One for practice, one for road play. They just last forever. But these very, very terrible Pearl stock heads were the worst cymbal I'd ever played in my entire life. And I remember the hi-hat, I destroyed it, playing like one song. I think I played like Master of Puppets or something like that. And one song was destroyed. I only had a hi-hat and a cymbal. That's all I had. I didn't have a ride, no crash, no splash, no effects, China, none of that good stuff till later in life, right? So that little cymbal that I had was my ride and my crash. And when it started getting cracks and when it started getting bends and stuff like that, I would take duct tape and I would home fix my cymbals and make them sound even worse. But this was all I could afford. This is all I had. This is all my family could afford. We weren't very rich family. We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. We struggled just like the next struggling family. And having something like that to start off was definitely great in my way of learning, because it also came with a set of mesh heads. And I would take off those the stock heads and I put the mesh heads on and I go sit in my room. And I would just have the 4 pads. I wouldn't even have the cymbals, or either I would have rubber pads that I built or made myself. And I would put my iPod in and I would just play in the corner of my room. Just play and do little rudiments and things like that. So, church camp in middle school, right? We're a little older. We're not like those little elementary hooligans that we were a few years ago. No, this is middle school camp. Big boy, a lot lot bigger kids, older, that sort of thing. The worship team was different this time. It was a lot younger. They had younger kids on the worship team, and they were playing for all of us. Same kind of thing. 1 in the afternoon, or 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. I still was obsessed with the drums, so that story still kind of stays the same. But this summer camp, they did a talent show, and at this talent show, I was like, I could play drums in front of everybody. Because when you're a beginner drummer or a beginner musician or whatever you're a beginner at, you start doing research on all the greats. You start doing research on people on a famous platform doing that thing that you're looking up and that you're interested in. And so I looked up videos of Tommy Lee on the roller coaster playing a drum solo above thousands of people with Motley Crue. I looked up drum solos from Chris Adler from Lamb of God, Joey Jordison from Slipknot, Eric Carr from Kiss. I mean, I looked up all these crazy, flashy Buddy Rich drum solos where he did the upside down flip thing. And my mistake was not watching drum solos where they actually play stuff, right? Instead of being flashy, because all I was interested in was being flashy. And so at this talent show, I decided to do like a 5-minute drum solo, right? And it was super weird and awkward because I didn't know what to do, because the spotlight was on me. It was finally my time to shine, and I froze. I had never played drums by myself in front of a bunch of people. I had only played them in a church setting behind a band, hidden behind everyone. So I start awkwardly playing this little 4-on-the-floor thing that I learned, and, you know, that little drum beat that every drummer plays over and over again when they're first starting out. And I kind of tell people were kind of looking like, yeah, this is just cute. We're going to let this little kid do his thing. And I don't know why I had it in me, but for some weird reason, I started telling people in the crowd to start saying, hey, yeah, when I hit this cymbal, go, whoa, like weird crowd interaction stuff like that. And I remember getting to a point where I was just going like, yeah, whoa, yeah, and just basically trying to Freddie Mercury my way through the 5 minutes at the back. There was a timer that they held in the back that you had left on the stage. And I'm doing all this, everything I could find for my very first drum solo. And I made it through. It was the most embarrassing thing in my entire life. I wish there were video evidence of it, but thank God there's not. I don't think there was, the earliest video of drums I have was in high school when I was doing a youth Sunday at the church, but I've tried looking up online and I can't find any of those videos. So after that, I do another talent show. I wanted to redeem myself. So the very next year, I decided to do a talent show, but I did it a little smart. I got 3 other drummers. The way that this summer camp worked is one church's worship team would do the morning service, another church's worship team would do music in the end service, and then a couple of days there'd be some fill-in guys here and there to give everybody a chance, right? Because we were all hungry to play music. We were all starving for basically that being on stage feel, being as a young kid. And so me and these 2 other guys decided to do a drum battle. And now my drum battle was me actually doing, I had spent an entire winter after that summer camp and after that year just learning some, you know, double bass and tom fills that they do in drum fills and things like that and solos to make it sound super cool. So my drum solo was me just doing a bunch of that, me, you know, doing like the bucket, you know, the fills and stuff like that to make it sound really cool. That was mine. There was another guy who was really, really embarrassed, and he kind of backed out. He played like a few things, and then he kind of like handed the sticks over and was like, I guess that's it, man. And then the third guy, he kind of did what I did the first year. He played for a little bit, and then he noticed people were kind of like fading off in the audience, so he would get up off the drum set and like go out into the crowd and pull people up on stage and have them like clap to time, which was really, really cool looking back at it. I'll definitely have to, I'll have to give him props and kudos for that. So I felt like I redeemed myself a little bit after that talent show. Did I win? No. They actually gave first place to the guy who pulled people into the crowd because they thought that was super cool. And looking back, yeah, that was super cool, and I probably should have did that. But I was too busy trying to take the spotlight and be a flashy drummer, which I didn't learn till later down the road that that's definitely not the way I wanted to approach myself as a musician. So before all you people start going, this is just another cocky drummer guy, I learned my lesson. I hit the 7 or 8 speed bumps. You know, I cooled it down a little bit. Just give me a chance here. So I started taking first official lessons when before I got into high school by a gentleman named Bill Pager. Now, Bill Pager's a world famous drummer. He plays with a band called Broken Walls. He tours all over the state of Alaska. I still talk to him pretty regularly. Shout out Bill if you're watching. This guy's absolutely crazy. He hikes a mountain almost every single day and does a really cool drum prayer at the top of it. I enjoy watching that, but more than that, it's crazy that he is climbing a mountain every single day. I hike the Butte, which is like a mini mountain, and halfway up I thought I was going to die, and at the same time that told me that I really got to get back in shape because drumming really isn't helping my cardio like I thought it would. It's more just doing a lot of flexibility and helping me keep snappy joints. But anyway, started taking lessons with Bill, and Bill introduced me to a couple of drum books and actual literature to help me start learning how to read music before I got into high school. One of the books was like a rudiment book that taught triplets and different things like that, and working on the doubles and the triples and that sort of thing. The other book that he introduced me to that's always stuck out and kind of stuck with me is Tommy Igoe's Groove Essentials. Tommy Igoe's a world-famous jazz fusion drummer. I used to be a really big fan of him. But I kind of lost a lot of respect for him. It was to a point when his fans he would post a video, right? And it would be a video of him drumming, and a fan, or it was anybody really, would criticize, would say, hey, I noticed you used this technique, try using this. None of it was rude. It was always something super helpful. I learned things from these comments. And Tommy would like lash out at these people. He would like call them names, say that I'm the best drummer in the world, and it was something that really, an attitude that really turned me off. And what sucks is when he had his other fans and other people that were fans of his jumping in and attacking those individuals as well. Anyways, huge social media mess. Social media is garbage. I know that. And that was one of the reasons I stopped following him. But anyways, in this book, Groove Essentials, it covered everything from jazz to rock to metal to Latin to world to African to all these crazy different genres of music. And it also had a CD DVD that it came with. Well, back when I was growing up, I didn't have access to laptops and computers. We didn't have MP3 players yet. We barely just had CD players in my neighborhood. I had a Panasonic big booty back silver TV with a headphone jack in front of it. Why in the hell they put a headphone jack on a big booty back TV that's 55 inches when headphone cords were only this long is beyond me. That's probably why all of us kids are freaking blind. But anyway, so I would put in the CD and I would scoot my drums or just a little rubber pad and a towel right next to the TV, and I would try not to look because radiation and all that crap your parents would tell you as a kid. And I would just play along to some of the rudiments. You know, that's what I would do. I really, really enjoyed that. And I got better over a couple years. I started being self-taught. I played more music in my iPod. I started playing rock. I started playing to the radio. When MP3 players came out, you had these little MP3 players that you could like spin the dial on, put a little headphone in. Well, we figured out ways to put our actual headphones on them, and I would just play to all the songs on the radio. Well, the church was looking for a worship drummer, and at the time, I was 16, 17 years old, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity for me to hone my skills and to start playing with other musicians and people. So I got on the worship team at church, and I drummed with them for a few years, and I actually was able to drum at the summer camp that I attended as a kid for a few years. So it was really cool getting to see kids in the audience watching the musicians be blown away and wanting us to teach them and influence them, just like when I was a kid wanting that same exact thing. It kind of came full circle in a way, and that's something that I have always loved, and I've always kept close to me. In the church program, there was a gentleman that came in from California. His name was Pete Monday. This guy was a music artist. He had a few albums out. I enjoyed his music. I thought it was really cool. It was like indie rock, bunch of really cool indie rock. That's basically all I got to say about that. He was a really wicked good guitarist, and what Pete did is he brought in other musicians. He would have other people from other churches come play, other bands come play across the state, kind of fill in for people, and just mix it up a little bit. And I got to meet a ton of musicians that way. Some I'm still friends with to this day. Someone that I have always remembered is Henry Hartman. He was one of the guys that came in and played drums. This is well over a decade ago. Henry, if you're watching, shout out. Love you, man. I remember watching Henry, and Henry was a really awesome drummer. He played in a group, or I think he still does, or I don't know. I'm probably going to be corrected because I'm wrong. Wildcat Trio, and I really enjoyed watching him play in that. Anyways, Henry was a really, really awesome drummer. I stopped taking lessons with Bill due to financial things with my family and just due to some things that were going on in our personal lives. I was starting high school, and so I just didn't have a lot of time. I was getting involved in football and more activities. Why I was trying to do football with drums at the same time. Injuries, I don't know. When I was hiking the other day, I was like, what if I slip and I break my ankle? And you have the anxiety of like all the things you have to relearn left-footed or left-handed. And like Rick Allen from Def Leppard, I started freaking out. But anyways, you get past the anxiety and you move on. So when I was 18, I got a tattoo. I got 2 tattoos, actually. One was the state of Virginia, because that's where I was born and raised. And then over here, I got the state of Alaska, because that's obviously the state that I'm in now. And that's the state that I was raised in and I was going to continue to live in through my adult life. Kind of a really messed up thing about the church is they saw that I had those tattoos and they decided that I wasn't a good fit to be on the worship team. They said that I wasn't a good role model because they didn't want other kids seeing that I had tattoos and following suit and getting a bunch of tattoos, and basically, I guess, figured out I was worshiping Satan or something crazy like that. I decided to go my separate ways. I was turning 18. I was graduating high school. I was getting older. It was time for me to move on. So when I was in high school, I did take a little bit of concert band. I tried out for the drum line, but there were kids way better than me. I'm okay. I'm decent at snare. I'm decent at the cymbals and the bass and the quads. I could do that. But then again, my biggest fault was reading music. I can read music. I do know how. It's just playing along and reading at the same exact time. I used to play in a jazz group called JPJ, Just Playing Jazz, and the hardest challenge I faced in that group was reading along music while playing, while trying to be like 7 steps ahead, 2 pages ahead, turn the page while getting ready for your jazz solo, that sort of thing. It was probably one of the biggest challenges I faced, and going into school, it was definitely something that I either wish I would have paid more attention to, or I wish my brain would understand and comprehend a little better. Being that I didn't make the drum line, I got stuck in concert band. In concert band, I was like, oh, sweet, concert band? That sounds pretty badass. Well, as the narrator says, it wasn't badass. It turns out it was everything but playing a drum set. It was like marimba, xylophone, the big bells thing. It was all these other instruments, percussional instruments. And my biggest 2 weaknesses were the xylophone and the marimba. I could not figure that out for the life of me. I could put a couple in my hand and do like the Rugrats theme, or do like the George of the Jungle thing, or do some fun little jams. But for the life of me, I could not read music and play along with that. I do remember one of the kids in there, he was one of the first kids to get a double kick pedal, and that blew us away. Being young musicians, we had never seen a double kick pedal before. We had all wanted to try out those crazy little, speed things. Everyone played the Raining Blood by Slayer double kick pattern. Yes, we know. This is about the time I think Meshuggah's Bleed was out, so we were all trying to do the crazy thing that Thomas Hake does. There was like 7 of us that all said that we could play an Avenged Sevenfold song better than the other guy, and that was Bat Country. So we all get down to the music room, and we set up a drum set, and we put the double kick pedal, and we all start playing Bat Country. And some of us can play the whole song, some of us only get halfway through it, not to be super cocky, but I made it through it, and the other kid that made it through the song was the kid that bought the double kick pedals. And I remember looking back on it, I don't know why the hell this even happened, but I remember I called him one day, and I was like, hey man, can I just borrow your double kick pedals to play my drums at home? And he goes, yeah, sure. And so I went over to his house and I got his double kick pedals, and they were Pearl Eliminators. And I took them over to my house. And at this time I had got a better drum set, which I'll explain here in a minute how I got that. And I played with that for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then he called me and was like, hey, can I have him back? Took him back to his house. It was pretty cool. Nowadays, some people still do stuff like that, but yeah, he barely knew me, so it's kind of cool of him to do something like that. But anyways, before I left the church worship team, before I don't want to say kicked out, before I moved on and did my own thing after graduating high school, there was a bunch of old drum sets and some old drum pieces in this back corner of the service wing. And I asked if I could go and take a few things that had been sitting there for years, and some of the church administrators kindly said yes, so I was grateful enough to take some drum pieces home and to build myself a really cool little drum set that I was able to have. So I did this for about a year or so when I still lived with my parents, and then as you grow up and I wanted to be on my own, I moved out of my parents' house. I started getting a real man's job, and I couldn't play music anymore. I didn't have time. I was living in an apartment. I had a girlfriend. I was living an adult life, and I kind of forgot about drums for a while. Well, my mom passed away. And that was a really big roadblock in my life, a really big roadblock in my musical life. And so I put my iPod away for a while. I forgot about music. I forgot about my drums. I just focused on that, and I focused on getting through that life hurdle. And this went on for about maybe a year and a half. Well, in that time, I found out that music was my savior. Music was my healer, and it was something that I needed to get better. And if I wanted to get better, and if I wanted to still have my drum chops, and if I still wanted to be somebody as a musician, I had to get back into it. And I'll always remember being a kid growing up telling myself I'm going to be a rock star. And unfortunately, I grew up in that era where your parents told you could be anything you want to be when you grow up. But it's not that easy. I can't go be an astronaut. Everyone says you can, but I might not meet the height requirements. I might not meet the IQ requirements, And I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be a musician, and I made sure that's what I wanted to do. So I decided to get back into music, and I jumped into my first real band. And this was kind of a band that lived in a party house, and I don't really remember the name of it. I kind of do, but it's kind of silly. And I recorded 2 songs with them. I had never played to a click before. I had no idea what a metronome was in my head. I had never played with any other musicians in a type of recording setting. After playing with them for a little bit, I got kicked out of that band. There was some weird drama. We were all kids. I don't hold anything against anybody. It was just basically what it was there was another kid who they felt could play drums better than me, so they brought him in and re-recorded all of my parts, and I was super upset about it. And one of the messed up things that I'm still pissed off about to this day, but like I just said, I'm not going to hold anything against anyone. This certain individual who kicked me out of the band went around to other musicians saying that I was a terrible drummer and I didn't need to be playing with anybody. No one should hire me because I wasn't good and I was just going to play like crap. This kind of deterred me getting into a few other bands, but I was lucky enough to get into a band with a few other guys. This band was called Tryptamine. I'm still friends with a couple of the guys from this band to this day. Trevor's still a really good friend of mine. Will, I still follow him on Instagram. Shout out to you guys. Hope all is well. That was the first band that I actually got into where I used a metronome. I played to a click track. I was able to write some stuff and just have a whole lot of fun. I got to record vocals. I got to record drums. We got to record all sorts of auxiliary percussion. We were all big into Slipknot at the time, so we would take out trash cans and a microphone and hit it with a baseball bat to get that effect that they got when they were on stage. Well, as life and things happen, girlfriend, and I got a slope job. If you're not familiar with what the North Slope is, it's in the oil fields way high up in Alaska, and you work 2 to 3 weeks at a time, secluded up there, and then you come back home for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you kind of do that. You basically spend 6 months of your life up in the Arctic Circle and 6 months of your life at home. So you don't have a lot of time to do that. You don't have a lot of time to do music, and I was kind of living in an RV. I was buying drums off Craigslist, refurbishing them and reselling them. I didn't have a whole lot of room, time, and dedication to be in a band. I jammed with a few people, but it was nothing ever serious. I stopped working on the slope and I decided that I wanted to get back into music full time. And you're probably like, wow, this guy is on like an up and down hill of getting into music, getting out of music, getting into music, getting out of music. But you know what? That's an important part of it. That's how you do it. The fact that I kept going back into it, it just shows my dedication, and it just shows how hard that I'm willing to work for my dream. I started going to open mics and local jam sessions. Now, there's a couple of different open mics and jam sessions that are going around. The kind that I would go to, which are my personal favorite, is you get to the venue and there's a drum set on stage and you got your amps and your guitars, and a group of people go up and start playing some music, and about 5 or 6 songs through, they'll ask if anybody in the crowd knows how to play drums, if anybody in the crowd knows how to play guitar, and they'll bring those people up and they'll just jam and be like, do you know this song? Do you know this song? Well, right on. And they'll just start playing those jams. And I went to those for an entire summer, and I had an absolute blast. The other kind of jam open mic that I have never really been to that wouldn't really work for me is you go to an open mic, you put your name in a bowl, you switch your hand around, and then you pull your name out, and whoever's on the list, they go up and they perform their set or however many songs they're doing. For me, I would have to go with another group of people because I would be the guy sitting there and my name would be called and it would just me behind a drum set and I'd be like, hi, I don't have anything to play at all. Anyways, at these open mics, I met a couple of people named Bill and Lindsay. They were in a group called Cold Fusion. Cold Fusion I'm still playing with to this day. Cold Fusion has become my baby. If you aren't familiar with it, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/AK Cold Fusion AK Band. They were looking for a drummer. They were looking for a young drummer with a lot of energy. The guy that they played with previously had passed away, and they had taken time to heal, so it was time for them to move on. So they asked me to come audition for them, and I went into Anchorage, auditioned for Cold Fusion. We played a few gigs, and I've been with them ever since. I think we're going on 6 or 7 years. Like, we have been together for quite a while, and we've been able to establish ourselves in the local music scene as a mainstay, which is awesome for me because it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of gigs to get people to go, oh, Cold Fusion, yeah, I know that band. They played at this gig. They're really awesome. Or, oh, yeah, Cold Fusion, they suck. But luckily, I haven't ran into a whole lot of that. So, anyways, a lot has happened in that 6 to 7 years that I've been with Cold Fusion. My singer, Bill, has went through cancer. His house burned down, rebuilt a brand new house. Our studio burned down, lost like 80% of all of our stuff. That was huge. Him going through cancer was huge. Apparently, he wasn't ever supposed to gain a lot of singing muscle back, but miracles happen, and he is back fronting our band, singing almost better than ever. In this time, we've gone through a lot of changes. There was a couple of guys, Rob and Rob were both of our guitar players. Kind of funny that their names are both Rob. They're no longer with us. Chris, one of the other founding members, our original bass player, he's no longer with us. He's living in Hawaii right now. We've played with a couple of other great musicians. We've had Leo Ash with the Leo Ash Band fill in. He also played with the Snow Goes, fill in for us for about a year. He's a blues rock guy. I absolutely love Leo. I look forward to playing again with him this September. Also, we've had a few other guys. We've had a gentleman named Carlos play with us. He's a military guy. He's more of like the punk rock dude, metal guy more my people, you know. So when he was he did vocals and guitar when Bill was out doing his personal stuff. And that was probably one of my favorite eras of Cold Fusion because we got to do a lot of STP, a lot of Finger 11. We got to do a lot of like Lenny and Foo Fighters. And now that Bill's back, we're bringing all that back and we're getting that hard, heavy rock bone. And it's starting to be that, it's that itch that I need scratched. It's what I like playing. I've explained that my style of drumming, I really love listening to deathcore and all that speed stuff, grindcore, all that technical death metal, but my body just wasn't built to play it. I'm chunk funk, heavy hard rock. You know, I like that heavy fills, just kicking double bass. I love playing that kind of music. Chris was great for that. Anyways, Chris moved out of state. Carlos moved out of state. Chris moved out of state. We had a gentleman named Joey. We now have a guy named Ron playing with us. One of the things about the Alaska music scene is our population is so small. To give you an idea, the population, you can Google this too while we're chatting. The population in Alaska is less than 1 million. I think we have like 800,000 people, maybe less than that in the entire state of Alaska. And the entire state of Alaska is the biggest state in the Union. It's the biggest state out of all 50 states. Now, in New York City, you have like Buffalo or Queens or not even that. Let's say like a different town in New York, right? 1 million people in that tiny little town. So you can see the difference in population. So a lot of musicians in Alaska get recycled. There's a lot of bands that are kind of mixed. There's that's a topic for another episode, how that's kind of positive and negative at the same time. So basically right now we've got a version of Cold Fusion that's kicking, that's rocking. We're really happy so far. We're playing some really great gigs. And 6 or 7 years, man, I could not be more happy of where I'm at. During that time, I also played with a local band called Antigen. Antigen was a rock band that formed a long time ago, and I was a fan of them. And I'd always go up to the singer's girlfriend after the show and be like, hey, if you guys ever need a new drummer, if he ever needs a new drummer, you let him know and you have him call me. Well, I did this for a few years, and as luck may have it, they were looking for a drummer. So I I jumped in, I went and auditioned, and we started playing some really awesome gigs. We ended up opening for the band 10 Years, which is a really awesome rock band, if you guys aren't familiar with 10 Years. They got a lot of really good songs out. We opened for them. We opened for Static Cycle. Jared, a really good friend of mine, he is now under the name Zillion. Check him out on YouTube. Shout out Jared. Have to get him on the show one of these days. He just dropped a new song. Go check that on YouTube for sure. We also played at Coots. We also played at a couple of outdoor shows like Friday Fling, and they were awesome. Antigen was the band that I could play all the rock. We played the Tool, we played the Pixies, we played Smashing Pumpkins, Foo Fighters, Bush. We did all that alt rock, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, all that stuff that just fills my soul with the heavy. Earlier, like a few months ago, Antigen decided to call it quits. There were some members in the band that focusing on a career, focusing on family, and it was just time for that. It was time for us to go our separate ways and to grow, mature, and who knows? We're probably going to come back together. Well, I don't want to say probably going to come back together. We'll probably stay in touch, and I would hope that we end up playing some more music together in the future, maybe under a new name. Who knows? Maybe even with some new people. But I really like playing with those guys, and I feel like our musical creation is not yet done. Anyway, so Antigen was really awesome. I've got some videos of us playing online. They also, before I joined, had an EP on Spotify and YouTube Music. Antigen, it is self-titled, and the cover is an amp with the whole thing's a vibe, dude. It's an amp with a cigarette burning on it. It is awesome. Check it out. I will post a link in the description of this video. Anyway, so basically, here we are now. Antigen's over, still rocking with Cold Fusion. I decided to jump in on the YouTube covers thing because during the pandemic, I noticed a huge uprising in that. And I'm one of those people that I'll see somebody do something and I'll see an idea and I'll go, damn it, I should have done that 10 years ago. That's exactly where I feel like I am with this vlogcast. There's tons and tons of them out there. I know that I didn't come into this expecting millions and millions of views and follows. I'm doing this, like I said, for me. I'm doing this because I wanted my own show. I wanted an outlet to where I can talk about things I want to talk about, and I can talk about things and give my take on things you want me to talk about and discuss. I really like filming. I really like filming my band shows and putting the camera right behind and putting those on my channel as well. So I'm kind of still going to do some of those things as well. That's something that really makes me happy. A struggle that I had to get over was knowing that I wasn't going to be instantly famous. Something like this is a lot of hard work, and I'm one of those people that are extremely hard-headed and don't quit. And I made sure, and I'm going to make sure that this is something that I'm not going to stop, and this is something that I am only going to get better at every single day. Brand new mic thing. Who knows? I might have a sticker for the window. I might have a sticker for the microphone. I might have something different. I always encourage people to drop questions, to drop comments, to send me a DM on the Facebook page. Oh, that's right. Drumchatta has a Facebook page right now. Gotta get used to that. Facebook.com/Drumchatta, a vlogcast for musicians and music lovers. Go drop a like, drop me a question or a topic you want to see discussed on the show, and I will do my best to get that covered. On episode 1 and on the Facebook page, I had a really awesome question, and that question was, aside from logistics, do I think lack of good studios and engineers inhibit Alaska's music scene? That's a very, very good question. And after thinking about it, thinking about my personal experience, talking to other local musicians and my peers in the musical scene, that is going to be more than just an answer, a quick answer. That's going to be episode 3. So episode 3, we're going to be diving into a lot more of the meat and potatoes. We're going to be answering some more questions. We're going to be answering that question. I feel like that's kind of an episode in itself. There's a lot that go hand in hand with that. I don't think it's a lack of engineers and good studios. I think there's plenty of that. I think there's many, many other variables that are inhibiting the Alaska music scene. And at the same time, the Alaska music scene is doing better than I've almost seen it do in a long time. We've got tons of national acts coming up here. We've got more local bands having more exposure than ever. But anyways, we're going to be talking about that. Also in episode 3, I had a really good topic that I put on the Facebook page that I would love for you to drop me some feedback on. And that topic is being a working parent being a working musician and a parent. Oftentimes, we find it tough to balance home life and music life peacefully. And so what we're going to be talking about is how we make it work, how you make it work, some of the challenges that you faced, how you've overcome these challenges, the rewards that you see, and the benefits to yourself and your family of being a parent and a working musician as well. Thank you so much for hanging out. This has been episode 2. If you liked what you see, please drop a like. If you feel that your friends or family or your peers or someone you know is going to like, please share. Hit that subscribe button, and together we will see how far this channel can go. I've been playing way too much Elden Ring, so yeah, that was a Rykard reference. Whatever. That's it for me. I am Hunter, aka Drummer Dude Guy. Thank you so much. This is Drumchatta. Please follow me on social media, Instagram, Drummer Dude Guy. Hit the subscribe on this channel right here, facebook.com/Drumchatta, a vlogcast for musicians and music lovers, a space for musicians. I'm going to see which one of those I like better. I'm kind of playing both of them. I end up might just using both because I like both. And also, Cold Fusion. Cold Fusion's got a show coming up next month. We're playing the Arc of Anchorage's 65th anniversary. It is going to be incredible. There's going to be food trucks, bounce houses for the kids. We're bringing back some of our beach tunes. It is going to be a great time. Follow us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/AKColdFusionAKBand for all the updates. Thank you so much, guys. I am Hunter, aka Drummer Dude Guy. I will see you next time. Stay rockin' and keep those horns high.